There is a room inside Buckingham Palace where very few people are ever allowed. No cameras, no aides, no press, just the family and the silence that comes with carrying a crown. For decades, the British royal family has understood one unspoken rule above all others. Whatever happens inside those walls stays inside those walls. But sometimes a message reaches the wrong hands. Sometimes a piece of paper or a private conversation finds its way to someone who was never supposed to see it. And when it does not matter how many centuries of protocol have been built around that family. Everything shakes. This is the story of one of those moments. A moment when Princess Anne, the hardest-working royal in the British monarchy, came across something that was never meant for her eyes. A message about Kate, the Princess of Wales, sent by none other than Queen Camilla. And when King Charles found out what had happened, even the most composed man in the palace could not hold back his emotion. To understand why this moment mattered so deeply, you first have to understand who Princess Anne is inside the royal family. She is not just the only daughter of the late Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip. She is, by almost every measure, the most reliable and most respected working royal the British monarchy has had in a generation. Year after year, she carries out more public engagements than almost any other member of the family. She does not complain. She does not seek the spotlight. She does not chase newspaper headlines. She simply works with the kind of discipline and quiet loyalty that the monarchy was built on. The people who know her well say she is sharp, direct, and fiercely protective of the crown. She does not suffer foolishness, and she does not waste her time with drama, which is exactly why, when something serious enough reaches her attention, she does not look the other way. Princess Anne has had a complicated history with Queen Camilla that goes back far longer than most people realize. Before Camilla married King Charles, she had been married to Andrew Parker Bowles, a man whom Anne herself had once been closely linked to romantically. That shared personal history created an undercurrent of tension between the two women that never fully disappeared, even as the decades passed. Royal biographers have written about it carefully, noting that the relationship between Anne and Camilla has always been layered, polite in public, but never entirely without edge behind the scenes. Anne reportedly made it clear to those around her, years before Charles and Camilla married, that she had reservations about how Camilla fit into the royal family structure. She was not openly hostile, but she was watchful, and watching has always been something Anne does very well. In the years after Camilla became queen consort following King Charles's coronation in May 2023, the public presentation of the two women was one of careful warmth. They attended events together. They smiled together. In November 2024, Anne, in her role as Chancellor of the University of London, personally awarded Camilla an honorary doctorate of literature, recognizing Camilla's extensive work promoting adult literacy across the Commonwealth. There were photographs of them arriving together, walking together, even laughing together. To the outside world, it looked like the two women had finally found solid ground. But those who followed the royal family closely knew that the surface and the reality inside the palace had always been two very different things. At the heart of this story is Catherine, the Princess of Wales, Kate. By 2024, Kate had been through one of the most difficult periods of her life. In January of that year, she underwent major abdominal surgery. A short time later, Kensington Palace announced that she had been diagnosed with cancer and was undergoing preventive chemotherapy. For weeks and then months, she was largely absent from public life, recovering quietly while the rest of the family tried to hold the institution together. William, her husband, described 2024 as the hardest year of his life. Kate, once seemingly unshakable in her role as the public face of a new generation of the monarchy, was suddenly vulnerable in a way the world had never seen before. Kate's illness changed the balance of the royal family in ways both visible and invisible. When a senior working royal steps back, even temporarily, it creates a vacuum. Roles shift, responsibilities move. And with King Charles himself fighting cancer at the same time, the institution was stretched thin in a way that hadn't happened in decades. Camilla stepped up. She took on more duties. She accompanied Charles to public engagements, represented the crown at events he could not attend, and was widely praised for her steadiness during an exceptionally difficult period. In early 2024, Camilla even made history as the first consort to lead the royal Maundy service, standing in for the king at Worcester Cathedral. Her public standing grew. Her confidence, by all accounts, grew with it. And that confidence, according to royal watchers and those familiar with the internal dynamics of the palace, began to express itself in ways that not everyone inside the institution was entirely comfortable with. Reports began circulating in late 2025 and into 2026 that tensions between Camilla and Kate had been quietly growing. The two women had always maintained a carefully respectful relationship in public. But behind palace walls, insiders suggested the relationship had grown strained. The reasons were multiple and intertwined. There was the question of Kate's emerging role. As she recovered from cancer, she had begun to take a more active stance on certain family matters, including reportedly maintaining a channel of communication with Prince Harry as part of an effort to bring him back into some form of relationship with his father. Camilla, according to those same insiders, was firmly opposed to any rapprochement with Harry. She wanted no part of reconciliation. And she reportedly found Kate's approach, this idea of quiet bridge building, to be naive and disloyal to what the palace had officially decided. In this atmosphere of growing private tension, Camilla is reported to have communicated, through a private message or conversation, her feelings about Kate's conduct inside the family. The exact contents of that communication have never been officially confirmed. Royal institutions rarely confirm anything of this nature. But what is clear from multiple accounts is that the message was pointed. It was not the kind of diplomatic, careful language that senior royals typically use when discussing each other in any setting where there is even a remote chance of the words being repeated. It was private. It was direct. And it expressed, in no uncertain terms, Camilla's frustrations about Kate, about how she was conducting herself, about the choices she was making, and about what Camilla believed Kate's role within the family should and should not include. Princess Anne came across this message, or the substance of it, in a manner that was entirely unintentional. The details of how it reached her are not a matter of public record. Royal households are large, complex institutions with many moving parts: aides, private secretaries, staff who move between residences and offices, carrying information sometimes without fully understanding the weight of what they carry. What is known is that Anne encountered the contents of Camilla's communication about Kate, and that her reaction was immediate and serious. Those who know Princess Anne understand that she does not sit quietly when she believes something has gone wrong inside the institution she has given her life to protecting. She is not built for silence in the face of what she considers injustice or overreach. The source who spoke to Heat World magazine described it plainly. Anne is not the type to let things go unaddressed. She was pushing back. She wanted to speak directly to the king. And she did. Princess Anne sought out King Charles privately. She requested what those close to the family described as an audience with her brother, a direct, personal conversation, away from aides and advisors and the formal machinery of the palace. The nature of that conversation has not been fully disclosed, but what has been reported is that Charles, upon being confronted with the situation, reacted with visible emotion. This is a man who has spent his entire adult life maintaining composure in public. He has faced divorce, public humiliation, the death of his mother, cancer, the loss of one son to exile across an ocean. He has practiced at holding himself together. But this situation, caught between his wife and his daughter-in-law, with his sister standing in front of him demanding that he address it, was not a situation that yielded to composure easily. The emotion King Charles showed, according to those familiar with the moment, was not anger. It was something closer to exhaustion and grief. He is a man who has watched his family tear apart and tried to hold it together. He lost his son Harry to a public rupture that wounded him deeply. He has fought cancer while simultaneously trying to keep the monarchy functioning and his family from fracturing further. And now, in the middle of all of that, he was being told that his wife had sent a private message about his daughter-in-law, the mother of his grandchildren, the woman married to his heir, that had caused serious upset within the family. The weight of that moment was not small. What happened next, in terms of any direct conversation between Charles and Camilla or between Charles and Kate, is not publicly documented. The royal family does not hold press conferences about internal disputes, but the atmosphere in the months that followed told its own story. Reports of tension between Camilla and Kate continued to surface. Royal correspondents noted subtle shifts in how public engagements were arranged, who stood where, who appeared with whom. At Commonwealth Day in March 2026, cameras caught something small but telling. When the royal family greeted King Charles at Westminster Abbey, Kate bowed to Camilla as protocol required. Princess Anne did not curtsy. It was a quiet but unmistakable signal from the woman who, more than perhaps anyone else in that family, understands what protocol is and what it means when you choose not to follow it. The broader picture that emerges from all of this is one of a royal family under extraordinary pressure. The health crises of 2024 shook the institution to its foundation. The monarchy's future rests on William and Kate, and the entire apparatus of the crown knows it. Kate is not just a Princess of Wales. She is the woman who will one day be Queen Consort, and who is already, in the eyes of much of the public, the heart of the monarchy's next chapter. Any private communication that diminishes her, or that signals to those inside the palace that she should know her place, carries consequences far beyond the personal. It touches the long-term stability of the crown itself. Princess Anne understood that. She has always understood the difference between personal grievance and institutional threat. Whatever feelings she may carry from decades of complicated history with Camilla, her decision to bring this matter to her brother was not driven by personal loyalty to Kate alone. It was driven by her understanding of what this family is, what it exists to do, and what it cannot afford to become. Anne has spent more than 50 years of her life in service to the British Crown. She has carried out more engagements, visited more countries, supported more causes than almost anyone in that institution. She is not given to drama. She does not raise her voice without reason. When she walked into a room with King Charles and told him what she had found and what she believed needed to be addressed, she was doing what she has always done. She was protecting the institution she loves in the only way she knows how, directly, honestly, and without apology. King Charles, for his part, is a man navigating an impossible set of loyalties. He loves Camilla. She stood by him through years of public hostility, through Diana's death, through the long, slow rehabilitation of his own image through cancer. She is his wife and his partner, but he also knows what William and Kate mean to this family's future. He knows that his son's marriage and Kate's health and stability are not peripheral concerns. They are central to everything the monarchy is building toward. The emotion he showed when Anne confronted him with this situation was not weakness. It was the very human response of a man who has given everything to an institution that keeps asking him to choose between the people he loves. There are no easy endings in the lives of royal families. There are no press releases that resolve these things, no public statements that close the wound. The palaces keep their secrets. The family keeps smiling for the cameras. The engagements continue. The flags are raised and lowered. But inside those walls, the conversations that shaped this moment are still echoing. A message that was never meant to be seen was seen. A woman who never looks the other way brought it to the king. And a man who has been asked to be strong for his entire life sat with his sister, and for a moment could not hide the cost of it all.